Hey, good morning, everybody. Just going to post this on the Discord, and we're good to go. I guess I'm just going to wait a little bit for people to come, but go ahead and just wait a couple of minutes so that people can join. And feel free to, chat with me because I have a chat open here. I know it's a little early for some of you. It's currently 10 a.m. Well, it's a little later than that. It is 10:02, and I will start at 10:05. And for those of you who join late, you can, I think YouTube lets you rewind, which is really good. So there's that. But anyways, the video would be posted on Discord otherwise. So it will be there for everybody to see, even if you have missed this. And hopefully later today we can, at least some of us can get on Discord and, practice our Aisatsu, because today's first lesson is on Aisatsu and also pronunciation. Sorry, I'm just waiting a little bit so that people can join before I start. I wonder if I should play music. Maybe not. Probably not. Sorry if my typing's pretty loud. Elevator music? Definitely. I guess I could play elevator music. Sorry, you're gonna like see my YouTube screen, which is kind of weird. But jazz. Does jazz sound good? Let's do Ghibli jazz. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I've never done this before, so. And she's 10. Hey, do you want me to call you anything? Just by like your name or anything like that? All right, so it is 10:05 and I will start. So good morning, everybody. This is our first lesson on pronunciation in Aisatsu. Just a couple of things before we start. Japanese characters are called kana. They're made of the hiragana and the katakana. And each character is made out of one consonant and a vowel, and sometimes a little more. But we'll get into that when we start learning the characters. So for example, here we have the K plus A, and that creates the ka sound. So like in English, where you have just the K sound and just the A sound, in Japanese, it is a little different than that. It's both the K and the A that make one character and one sound ka. And vowels in Japanese sound a little different than what you're probably used to in English. Whereas in English, it is A, E, I, O, U. In Japanese, it is A, E, U, E, and O. So we'll get into that right now. To vowel pronunciation. So there's a total of 5 vowels. And we'll start with A. In Japanese, A is pronounced A, just like the O in hop and the O in otter. Let me switch this to black. So, and it kind of, I'm going to write out like this, ah, and it's going to sound like that. And when we go over like words, I'm going to write it like ah. So just maybe an example, in Japanese, the word for body is karada, and I'm going to annotate it like ka, ra, da. Sorry if that's hard for you to read. So we have the ah sound here, karada, ka, da, da. And the word for flower is hana. And I'm going to annotate it like ha, na. So we have the ah sound again. So it's an ah sound. It's not going to be like a or however weird English sounds like sometimes. It's always going to sound like ah. Now going with E or I in Japanese sounds like E. And it is the eyes in the word ski and the E, well, the E's in the word sheep. So E. And when I write it, I will write it like either like E, or sometimes I'll write it like E, like that. And so let's go over some words with E in them. So the word for dog in Japanese, so let me write dog, is inu. Inu. And I'm going to annotate it like E, nu. So we've got the E sound here, inu. And the word for doctor in Japanese, so doctor is isha. I'm going to annotate it like E, sha. And we've got that E sound here. So E, E. Now moving on to U. U in Japanese sounds like U. It is the vowels in shu and the O's in the sound that cows make, moo. So another vocabulary word, uma, is the word for horse. So let's write horse. And uma, spelled like that. And we're going to annotate it. I'm going to annotate it like this most times, or sometimes I'll use this. U. So uma is ma. U. And the word for pig, let me erase this. The word for pig in Japanese, or like boar, used synonymously, is buta. Buta. And I'm going to annotate it like bu ta. We've got that u sound. Moving on to e or e. E in Japanese is pronounced like e. And it is the vowels in the word head, e, right here. And the e in the word bed, e. And when I annotate it, I will annotate it like, oops, I will annotate it like e, almost all the time, e. So a word in Japanese, let's go over kaze. Kaze is the word for cold. So cold, or like being sick, like a little bug. So kaze. And we're going to annotate it like ka ze. And another word we're going to do is taberu. And taberu means to eat. To eat. So we're going to annotate it like ta be ru. I know R's are kind of hard to say. We'll go over that in a little bit, but it's right here. The e, ta be ru. And out of our vowels, lastly, but certainly not least, is O. This is the only one that sounds exactly like the English alphabet O. So you pronounce it O. And it is the O in no and the O in old, like this old lady here. And when I annotate it, I will annotate it like this all the time, pretty much all the time. O. And let's do some words. So you guys probably, some of you may know the word for cat in Japanese is neko. Neko. And we're going to annotate it like ne, ko. We've got that O sound here. And another one is a word for bath. And that is ofuro. I'm using the romanized characters because I want you guys to actually see how it sounds, because I think that's important if you guys want to learn phrases. you need to know how to say it correctly so that people do understand what you're saying. So we're going to annotate it like o, fu, and ro. Got those two there. So going over it again, those are all of our vowels. It was a, I, U, E, and O. So A is going to sound like this. I'm going to annotate it like E, sometimes like this, and then U, sometimes like U. Then we got E and O. So, when you have free time, you can practice, saying to yourself, a, I, U, E, O, so that you memorize how it's actually sound. And then when you see Japanese words in Romaji, you know how they sound. So practice on your own. A, I, U, E, O. And of course, if you need to, we'll do a practice on Discord as well. So let me see if you've said anything. Okay. So we're going to go on 2 consonant pronunciations that I think are important to go over. And the first one is the hardest one, and that is the R sound in Japanese. And the description, I put a link to a good tutorial on how to say it. He actually goes through how you position your tongue when you say the Japanese R and L's. And it's a really good tutorial. And he's a little weird, so sorry, but he's also kind of funny. But it has a very, very good tutorial on how to say it, because I know a lot of people struggle with this sound. And I'm going to actually turn off the music for this. And okay, so the R sound in Japanese, there are about, so combined with all 5 vowels, there is ra, ri, ru, re, and ro. So the R sound in Japanese are not hard R's, like how we say R's in English. They are a mix between an R and an L and a little bit of a D. So I'm going to say it, each one, slowly. Da, di, ru, re, ro. Da, di, ru, re, ro. And try to say that to yourself and try to mimic it, but you have to put the tip of your tongue and arch your tongue flatter, and you have to put your tip of your tongue like behind your teeth. It's if you've taken Spanish before and you know how to roll your R's, then this should be easy for you. But I know some people can't roll R's. Like I've known a girl since high school and she still can't roll her R's. So just go ahead and watch that video. I know he'll help you a lot. He helped me a lot when I tried to say R for the first time. So we're going to go on to the next one, which is the N sound. The N sound in Japanese is this character. Let me make it bigger. And it doesn't sound like N. It sounds kind of like un. Un kind of sounds like that. So, like some un sounds. Minna in Japanese means like all or everything, everyone. And that's minna. And you would think this is only 2 syllables, min and na, but in Japanese, there are actually 3 syllables. So it is, I'll separate it like this. It is mi, n, na. So there are actually 3 characters when you write this. And that's because we have the n character here. And so we'll annotate it like mi, n, na, minna, mi, n, na, minna. And there's another word that some of you may know, some of you may not, and it's hot spring. In Japanese is onsen. And we're going to annotate it like o, n, se, n. Got that n sound twice in here. Onsen. O, n, se, n. Onsen. Onsen. And that is hot spring in Japanese. So those are just the sounds that I wanted to go over with you guys. And now you guys can practice on your own iu, eo, and the rariru, rero, and the n sounds on your own. The n shouldn't be too bad. That's pretty easy. But I know the r sounds will be pretty hard. Oh, and I was supposed to post this yesterday, so I had this, but we'll practice in Discord later today if you guys want. Now we're going to move it on. Oh, I forgot I added this. So I'm going to go over some commonly mispronounced words. And the number one word that people mispronounce all the time is this word right here. Like all the time. Karaoke. Ooh, I guess I should go like this. Karaoke. That just looks weird. I'm just going to underline. I'm playing with this new thing, so karaoke. And a lot of you say karaoke, and that's wrong. I don't know where re comes from, but we'll go over how to say that. So we'll annotate it like ka, using what we learned with our vowels. It's ka, ga, o, ke. Karaoke. And, when you say this to people, usually they probably won't understand you. So that's why I actually say karaoke all the time, because people don't understand what I mean when I say karaoke. So just letting you know that, when you see it or when you hear it, you know that, hey, that guy's saying it wrong. It's karaoke. And I just want to let you guys know that this is how it's said. And now that you've learned all the vowels and how to say the vowels, you know how it's said. And with anime and manga, we have here, let's actually get rid of that. So let's start with anime. So a lot of people say anime, which, I'm actually fine with, but it's actually pronounced anime. Oh, I guess I should do this, our annotation. Anime. And then we've also got manga. A lot of people say manga, but we know that it is manga because it is, our A's sound like ah. So it's ma, ga. And there are other words that, a lot of people mispronounce, but like Honda, the make of car, it's pronounced Honda. We know that. Honda. And like, if you were to say these things, maybe not anime and manga, because a lot of people I know also say manga, but things like karaoke or Honda, people might not understand you. So like, you don't have to go around and correct people and say like, hey, you're saying that wrong. It's not Honda, it's Honda. Like, you don't have to go and say that. I just want to let you guys know that when you see these words, this is how it's sound and this is how it's supposed to be said. And when you do go to Japan, like, you don't say karaoke and confuse them. So now we'll move on to the second portion. Let me go ahead and check on you guys. See how you're doing. Wait, was there music? I wasn't hearing any. I don't know if you guys, I've never used this before. I don't know. Because when I actually stream, I go on Twitch and I use the Mishira or OBS, and it always like has all the sounds playing on the computer. I don't know, because this is like Google Hangouts embedded into YouTube, and I've never used it before. So I don't know. I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. So we're going to go on to Aisatsu. And Aisatsu can be translated to greetings, but it's a lot more than that. And you might ask me or yourself, like, oh, why is Aisatsu so important and why are we learning this? But Aisatsu is so deeply ingrained into the culture. These Aisatsu take place in Japanese culture on a daily basis. And it starts with the initial greeting and it follows with a complex process of awareness, comprehension, and respect. Because Japan is such a socially aware nation, like Aisatsu are so important because it's not just saying hello, it's also acknowledgement. And when you say Ohayo gozaimasu, you say, hey, I'm here and I know that you're here. I'm saying hello to you to acknowledge your presence. And it's a sign of acknowledgement and respect. It's not just saying hi. And it's used at every level of interaction. So from child to parent, from parent to child, all of this is vice versa. From employee to customer, from teacher to student, from employee to boss, from an adult to a stranger, an adult to a friend. Everybody uses Aisatsu in Japan, and it's important to learn these Aisatsu. And Aisatsu are pretty much like set phrases that you're going to use all the time. Sorry, I was drinking some water. So with these Aisatsu, there's a level of formality involved in the Japanese language. So in Japan, there are levels of formality and politeness that change the way you speak and respond to others. So what I mean when I say that is if you're talking to someone and, maybe in class, you're talking to someone in class and maybe you wouldn't use certain language because you're in a classroom. It's kind of like that where you have a filter in certain areas. When you're around your parents, you don't say certain things. You kind of change your language to fit the situation. And that's kind of like in Japan too. So use formal language around people in a higher position, your superiors, like your boss or a teacher or a doctor, someone who is in a higher position than you in the culture, or people you don't know well enough, like strangers. And this is just because it's when you use formal language, you are being polite, you are being formal with them, obviously. And to be informal around these people, you it's almost like you don't know where your place is. Japan's so socially aware that this is embedded into the language and into the culture. So you have to be aware of what your position is in the social hierarchy. And it sounds kind of bad, but this is just their culture. But I was told, since the beginning that using formal language, especially if you're a traveler, like a visitor to Japan, using formal language is always going to be okay. Like, it's best to use formal language than informal language when you travel to Japan. And then informal language is the opposite. You use those around people you do know well, like your friends or your family. So there's a difference between, we'll go over that like really soon, but there's a difference between ohayo and ohayo gozaimasu. And it's almost like the longer the sentence is, the more polite it is. We won't correlate it like that, but some people see that correlation too. And you say, like your mom would say, Ohayo, and you would say back to her, Ohayo, because you know each other and you're comfortable around each other and you can use that formal language with them, informal language, excuse me. So we're going to go ahead and look at these levels of politeness in Japanese. So the equivalent of just saying like thanks is arigato or domo. So I'm gonna say that slowly again. And if for those of you who do know how to read hiragana, this is how you say it. Well, this is how you write it, and this is how it looks. So arigato. And you notice in Romaji, you'll have the U sound here. And when you hear it, it just sounds like an elongated version of the word O. And that's exactly how it sounds. Arigato. Arigato. Domo. Domo. And that's like saying thanks. You probably use this around your friends. If you said this to your teacher would kind of like slap you in the back of your hand. So to teachers, you would say the second one, thank you. Arigato gozaimasu. Arigato gozaimasu. Arigato gozaimasu. And I should have went over this, but su, the sound su, isn't always fully pronounced at the end of a word. So when you see masu or desu, you'll see that a lot at the end of a sentence. When it's at the end of the sentence, you don't fully pronounce su. It's mas, like it's like an S sound. I'm not sure why that is actually, but at the end of a sentence, usually it's gozaimasu, and you don't hear that u sound, and they kind of drop that. They might, in Japanese, like you'll hear, if you ever listen to anime and you like know the full word, sometimes they'll like shorten it, just like how we shorten words in English too. And I think this has to do with it as well. Okay, so the last one is thank you very much. This is like expressing deep gratitude. Like they've done something for you that you're just so thankful for. And this is probably also something you could say to someone who's in a very high position, like your boss's boss, probably. So we're going to go over it. It's just a combination of arigatou gozaimasu and domo. So, domo arigatou gozaimasu. Domo arigatou gozaimasu. Domo arigatou gozaimasu. I guess. And for those of you who do know hiragana, there it is for you. So we're going to go over how to say hello now. Let me check on you guys for a little bit. So even if you drop the u, it would still be written the same way. Yes. So when you say u, well, su, because su is in a lot of endings. It's usually at the end of the sentence a lot. It would still be written as, if you're talking about hiragana, it would still be written as su. This is su. But if you're writing domo, has a lot of meanings to it, but when they're like receiving something, they'll say domo, and that just means like thanks. In the context of the anime, like if they're friends or if they know each other pretty well, or they're classmates, or they're at the same level of the social hierarchy in Japan, then they will say domo, like a roommate or things like that. It means thanks. I think the literal definition means like here, or like excuse me, drinking water. Yeah, so it means thank you. It's a very informal way of saying thank you. Okay, so Aisatsu for hello. And a lot of you already know this, which is good. But like how we say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, there is an Aisatsu for everyone. And usually there isn't like a hello. I guess like in Japanese, like you see a lot of male characters say like yo or things like that. Like you could say that too with your friends, remember though, only with your friends. Like usually like when you go to a classroom or you go to work, you'd say ohayo gozaimasu. So we'll go over that. So good morning is ohayo gozaimasu. So let me say that slowly. Ohayo gozaimasu. And with your friends, you say ohayo, or with your mom and dad and things like that, and your sisters. And ohayo is the informal way of saying like good morning. It'd be like saying morning. That's the equivalent of ohayo. And if you were to say this to your teacher, she'd kind of maybe they'd be a little upset that you said ohayo instead of ohayo gozaimasu. But saying ohayo gozaimasu is always good. It makes you seem like you're a polite person. So, and good afternoon is konnichiwa. So let me say that slowly. Konnichiwa. Konnichiwa. And this is good afternoon. You say this past 12 or at 12. And if you were to say something like good morning at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, like if you were to say like ohayo gozaimasu at 2 p.m., people would be like, you live a bum life or something like that. So just remember that this is very time oriented, and like even when you wake up and you say good morning, you in Japan you probably shouldn't say ohayo gozaimasu. You should say konnichiwa. And good evening, this is probably like past 4, would be konbanwa. 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 And then to say goodnight, which isn't really saying hello, it's more like saying bye. And we've said this in Discord before, is oyasumi nasai. And let me say that slowly. Oyasumi nasai. And just like Ohio, there is like an informal way of saying good night, and that is Oya Sumi, and it's without the nasai. And nasai is like a suffix for honorifics or like being polite. You'll hear that when you hear like kudasai. It's like kudasai. So it's asai. And it's like kudasai means like please. It means please. So oyasumi is similar to Ohio, where it's impolite. You say that to your friends and your mom. Your mom would be like, oyasumi nasai, and you say oyasumi to her, and she'll be okay with it. Unless she's really strict, like my mom. So that's it for this. Let me go ahead and check on you guys to see if you have any questions. So there's no formal version of saying, yeah. So konnichiwa and konbanwa are universally like just, that's what everybody says. No level of formality, no level of politeness. And then we'll go with goodbye. So I included a very, very formal one just because this is what people use at work. There's a lot of other ways of saying goodbye. Japanese language is very sometimes it's kind of roundabout, where they kind of want you to imply what they mean by saying something like this. So one is I'll be going then. That's how it can be translated to. Is 失礼します。では、失礼します。And it literally means, well, I'm going to be rude. Because 失礼します means I'm going to be rude. And what they mean by that is I'm going to be rude by leaving. So 電話失礼します they're like, I'm sorry. It's almost like saying sorry, I'm leaving. And usually you say this when in a work environment when you're leaving before someone. There's other ways of saying goodbye in the workplace. I just wanted to include this so that like business, like using this in a business language is like a whole different, it's like a whole nother world. But if you ever are in this kind of situation in Japan where you have a job in Japan, then 電話失礼します when you leave is acceptable. So let's go over a little less formal. So see you tomorrow is still pretty casual. But you can still use it around like your friends and your parents, but usually only that. In a classroom setting, we say sayonara, and sayonara has a level of finality, so a lot of people don't use it because it's like saying farewell, goodbye forever. But in a classroom setting, they say sayonara because from elementary school, students learn that sayonara means goodbye, but they don't really understand that it means also like farewell, good luck, like good luck on your journey. So in a lot, like it's just used all the time in classroom settings. So don't like bring that outside. Like if you were to say that to your Japanese friend, if you're studying abroad and they're like, what? You're like, where are you going? Like it's the middle of the semester. And they would think that you're leaving just back to America. So like don't use it to your friends when you're saying goodbye. Only use it when you're in a classroom talking to your teacher and you're like, sayonara sensei, like that's acceptable because they already know that you will be coming back the next day. So it's almost kind of like tradition in the classroom. I don't really know why. I assume it's because from elementary school, students learn like second graders say sayonara all the time. So try not to say that outside the classroom, and because people will just be very confused and very worried about you. So, see you tomorrow is mata ashita, mata ashita. And literally it means again tomorrow, because mata means again and ashita means tomorrow. So it means see you tomorrow. And this is used with your friends. You probably won't say this to your parents because you live with them, but with your friends. And a more kind of informal, even more informal than mata ashita is jane. And you might hear in anime a lot where guys just kind of say ja, that means like see ya, and the subtitle says bye. Yes. So this is what it's from. Jane. Jane. And this is also very informal. Ja is the shortened version of this, and that's very informal. A lot of guys use it. And there's a lot of other ways of saying goodbye. I'm sure if you've taken Japanese before, like there's so many other ways, and I've learned so many other ways of saying it. Like there's ja mata and of mata and ja. But these are just a few, so that you know, just a few to say mata ashita, because it doesn't really matter in an informal setting what you say to say goodbye. Like there's also like bye bye, because girls use that a lot too, because they like to be cute and it sounds cute. Bye bye, they also say that, and that's also from English, where we say bye. That's where they get it from. So if you know any other ways of saying goodbye, then that's fine too. I just wanted to put some examples up for people who didn't know. Let me go ahead and check on you. Okay. I guess put hiragana. I always forget about that. So there's a hiragana on the right. I should have transitioned it at the right times, but there they are. And like I said, in a classroom setting, we always say sayonara. Try not to use that anywhere else but a classroom. Or if you're seriously like leaving, if you're studying abroad and your semester is over and you're leaving, then you say sayonara. Or if you're going on a trip for a really long time, then say sayonara. But just know that it's for a long time and you probably won't see them for a while when you say that. And so I know this is probably not a lot of Aisatsu, just because this is our first video and I didn't want to like overwhelm a lot of people with a ton of these phrases. But next time, or even right now, if you guys want to go over that, we're going to go over more Aisatsu, things like in anime, I always say anime. I know it's anime, but I always say anime. You hear when someone leaves, they say like "itekimasu" sometimes, and then whoever's home would say "itterashai." Like those are also Aisatsu, and we'll learn those now or later if you guys want. But also, we'll learn how to introduce yourself. A lot of you already know this. That's great that you know how to introduce yourself, and there are a few ways on doing that. But we will go over those few ways of introducing yourself so that we can practice together. And then with that, we'll add another level and we'll learn about how to ask about someone's hobbies. Like, what are your hobbies? And we'll learn about how to talk about them or list our hobbies in Japanese. So when we practice together, we'll introduce ourselves and we'll ask things like, what are your hobbies? And you will reply, oh, my hobbies are blank, blank, blank. And with that, of course, we'll have new vocabulary, which is awesome because then you'll learn how to say things in Japanese. So we'll do that next lesson. Like, we'll definitely do hobbies and introducing yourself next lesson. And if you guys want, we can do like more Aisatsu now on Discord. But for now, I will end the video And thank you for watching if you're here. And for those of you who want to watch later, then by all means. So let me see if anybody has. Okay, so we're all good. I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast. So thank you for watching.